In this story, I'll be using the names Topsy and Dinah, nicknames that were given to these American caricatures in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Topsy was often used for this caricature of the black child, and Dinah was often used for this caricature of the motherly servant. After the Civil War, America began rewriting its story, and part of that rewrite came through two powerful stereotypes, Dinah and Topsy. Dinah was portrayed as the loyal, loving black woman devoted to white families. Topsy was her opposite, the wild, unkempt caricature of a black child seen as less than human. These weren't harmless characters. They were inventions that made slavery and segregation easier to justify. If Dinah was happy, maybe slavery wasn't so bad. If Topsy was less than human, denying a black child's rights seemed natural. Dolls, figurines, and advertisements carried these images into homes across America. It turned racism into decoration, toys for children, and trinkets for kitchens. Comfort symbols for those who didn't want to face what slavery really was. Propaganda hidden behind a smile and a headscarf. And behind it stood one of the most powerful women's groups of the early 1900s, the United Daughters of the Confederacy, or UDC. Founded in 1894 in Nashville, the UDC saw themselves as the keepers of Southern memory. Their mission sounded noble, to honor Confederate soldiers, but their real goal was to defend the lost cause. The idea that the Civil War wasn't about slavery, but about states' rights and Southern pride. By the early 1900s, they had tens of thousands of members, a national network of wealthy, educated white women who influenced politics, schools, and media. They funded Confederate monuments, lobbied school boards, and rewrote textbooks to turn oppression into honor. By the 1920s, their focus shifted to a new symbol, the faithful, loyal servant. They even proposed a national monument in Washington, D.C. in memory of the faithful colored Dinahs of the South. It showed a smiling caricature of this so-called loyal servant cradling a white child with two black children at her feet. Supposedly a tribute, but really a way to glorify servitude and rewrite history to make slavery seem gentle. Black women across the country fought back, and activists like Mary Church Terrell called it a national disgrace, saying it would brand our race with shame. The campaign failed, but the damage was done. Dinah was already carved into America's imagination, and the UDC didn't stop there. The myths they built into monuments and textbooks soon appeared in stores and homes. Dinah moved from marble to marketing. By the 1920s, she was everywhere, on pancake boxes, cookie jars, salt shakers, and dolls. Always smiling, always serving. And companies knew exactly what they were selling. A comforting lie that the racial order of the South was still intact, even if slavery was gone. Topsy sold too. Dolls and postcards turned black children into comic figures. Dirty, wild, less than human. These weren't just toys. They were everyday lessons in white comfort. While the UDC controlled textbooks, companies controlled kitchens and toy boxes, and both told the same lie, that black people were happy to serve, and that lie shaped how generations saw race, history, and even childhood itself. But not everyone accepted that story. Black women's clubs across the country stood up and said no. Writers and activists like Mary Church Terrell and Haley Quinn Brown exposed Dinah for what she was, a mask to hide slavery's brutality. They reminded America that enslaved women weren't faithful servants. They were mothers, daughters, and wives forced into labor, often abused, often separated from their own children to care for someone else's. And that the caricature of the black loyal servant erased that truth. She replaced pain with loyalty and violence with devotion. Through speeches, protests, and education, black women tore holes in that myth. They forced America to see the people behind these caricatures, and they made sure that the monument to the faithful loyal servant was never built. The UDC may have controlled textbooks and monuments, but they couldn't control the truth once people began to speak it. I'm going to say that again. They couldn't control the truth once people began to speak it. Still, Dinah and Topsy didn't disappear when the monument failed. They just changed form. They lingered in movies, ads, and toys for decades. Part of a national memory built on denial, a way for America to feel good about a painful past. But people kept challenging that memory, and by the 1960s and 70s, doll makers like F&B and Horseman began creating dolls that celebrated Black identity instead of erasing it. The United Daughters of the Confederacy is still around today. They keep up Confederate graves and monuments, run youth programs, and even go to court to stop the removal or renaming of anything tied to the Confederacy. And they still say it's about preserving American history. From the start, the UDC wanted to control how history looked, and for a long time, they did. But now the cracks are showing. Every one of these old caricature dolls tells the truth they try to cover up. Not a story of pride or devotion, but of distortion. And that's why I talk about them. Because the only way to undo the lie is to finally learn the truth.